All right, you're looking live at Generation and Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, DJ I Tell You What, and I have my co-host, my dad, Cowboy Joe 64, aka Capricorn 1.
I am your father. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
And we are back. You want to say what's up to the people?
What's up, people?
All right, so we're looking at episode 35 or 36. I kind of be losing track of what episode it is, but we got the Houston Texans coming up Sunday, and quite a few things we can talk about. It's a game that I want to see in this game. I'm really going to be paying attention to the young guys, and this is when you see who really wants to play, who really wants to be here, because the season is really over. Really don't have anything to play for. So these guys are going to have to come out and really just show if they are football guys or not. Not playing for anything. You're just playing for pride at this point. McCarthy, the writing is on the wall. McCarthy's not going to be here next year. It's really up in the air if Zim's going to be here next year. So these guys are just playing in a lame duck year type of year. So really going to have to just see who's going to be out there balling and who's going to be out there really giving the effort. And those are the type of players that you're going to want to see on the team next year. So that's my outlook on the game coming up. And I do have a few things that I wanted to talk about or run by you as far as getting ready for next year with the hiring process and with the drafting process. So what is your outlook and what is your take on the game Sunday? Well, Monday.
So I think it's going to be a competitive game. It's Dallas and Houston, so it's going to be some of that. I think a lot of the players on the team got a connection with Houston, so a lot of Houston fans there. So it's probably going to be a competitive game. They're going to be out there competing.
Yeah, it's just funny how the Texans and the Cowboys and the Texans rivalry kind of evolved, and it's really a cool rivalry. Like, it's really like what's unique about it to me is that you really do see a lot of the Cowboys players kicking it with the Houston players, like outside of football. They really like are friends, and you have a couple that are like brothers. Like you got Stephon Diggs and Trayvon Diggs. So they actually, and then you have like Micah, and he has, and then you got CJ Stroud, and they're really like friends outside of the game, like for real. And then you have a couple more that they're actually like friends. So of course, when the lights come on and when the first whistle is blowed, I mean, it's gonna be mano a mano. But it's just kind of cool how the Texans rivalry and the Dallas Cowboys rivalry kind of has evolved over the years, and it's going to be a fun game to watch. I know last time they was sticking with us pretty good. They're like our little brothers in the sport. We always beat them, but last year they got kind of close, and we had to. Well, 2 years ago we had to go down on the last play. It was like a minute left, and we won on the last drive. So we had to go like 99 yards. So they're a totally different team. And so kind of what I wanted to point out to people is like, so there's a few things that I think the Cowboys have to do this offseason in order to turn this ship around. And it can be done. And it's going to take a little bit of luck because I just don't know if these things are going to be just obvious to do for the Joneses. Like, for instance, the Texans, they had Deshaun Watson in a whole bunch of trouble. He was about to go to jail. He in all of this and all of that. And they were not in a good spot, but they made a change at GM. They traded Deshaun Watson, got some picks for him, hired D'Amico, whatever his last name is, and now they're a playoff team. They drafted CJ Stroud. They made a philosophy change had a seat change in the organization, and they went from being a garbage organization, garbage team, to overnight success. And um, not only not only did the Texans do it, there's a whole bunch of other teams that do it as well. The Commanders, they did it. Uh, and then with the Cowboys, it's not like we're just like a trash organization. We're not always sorry. We're not always bad. Like how they have. Now we don't win any playoff games, no, but they're not always bad. They're always, this season is a bad season because of bad luck with injuries, and then the way that Steven and Jerry and Will McClay have put this team together over the last 10 years or so 28 years or whatever you want to call it. That's the reason why this team is bad this year. So um, Jerry has to, the next coach that comes in here, Jerry has to give up that general manager. Steven and Jerry and Will McClay have to give up their general managing duties. Like, for instance, I think you told me that if Bill Belichick was to come in, Will McClay will probably be out. And if he's not out, he probably won't be doing what he normally does. And that's what we need. If that's what we need. So go ahead and piggyback on that while I go take care of Lil Man real quick.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, I think the Houston Dallas thing it's big. It's really kind of coming into play. There was some talk about the NFL making this a yearly game. Not really sure how realistic that is, but definitely a natural rivalry there. Houston, they really haven't looked as good as a lot of people thought they were going to look. Um, they had a couple of losses early, but kind of here lately they've gotten back on track. Their division is not really good. The Titans, Jacksonville, those teams are not really playing well. So it's going to be interesting to see, just kind of the level of play that they bring. Of course, Monday night is not what it used to be, but still teams get excited about playing on Monday night. So, they'll come in and be ready to put on a good showing. So, Dallas has some guys that probably going to go out there and try to put something out, good on film for people to see. Of course, our new receiver that we got in, Mingo, we're going to see what he has. And hopefully, we've been talking about Flournoy all year. Hopefully, he'll get to play. And did we hear anything about Brandon Cooks, if he going to play or not?
I didn't hear anything. I can look it up and see. I didn't hear
So
anything. Look it up.
been kind of hearing that he really has been a healthy scratch for a couple of weeks. So Bland is still out. Um, so we'll just kind of see, really probably sometime Monday, what the inactives are. So it's gonna be, a good day of football tomorrow. You got the Chiefs and the Bills, Pittsburgh and the Ravens. Gonna be good. So kind of hate those Sunday night and Monday night games because it makes our football day kind of long. But at this point, you just watching the games and enjoying the games at this point. But we'll just kind of see. I did hear on the radio today. I thought it was kind of odd that a lot of the fans in Houston and the sports writers, they're giving Bob Slowick a hard time with the
Mm-hmm.
offense.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of taking some shine off his star. So you know, he'll come in with Dallas and he'll try to, you know, give his best performance on national TV. That's what these coaches normally do when they go up against us.
Yeah, and he knows he's auditioning too.
Yeah, he's probably auditioning for an interview at least.
Mm-hmm.
So still hearing a lot of talk about, Dion possibly coming to the Dallas. I know Michael Irvin was talking about it last night at the fight. And so it's going to be fun to see when the season is over. And then you still got some people that saying McCarthy might come back. I know you were saying you think it's a possibility he come back. I don't, but
No, I mean the reason why I say that is because I just look at what that we should not do, and a lot of times when I look at what we should not do, you know, Jerry Stephen unfortunately do that. What we should not do. And so there is always a possibility that they're going to bring back McCarthy, or that they're going to go the Kellen Moore route. That's a possibility, and I think it's a possibility. I think it's a possibility because I also think that this plan that they had to not spend any cap money and um, do all of that, I think it could be a 2 year plan. I don't think it was just a 1 year plan. See, Jeff Kavanaugh, shout out to Jeff. You know, Jeff was on this way back before anything ever happened. Jeff was on this before free agency started. Jeff was saying that when the free agency starts, that they're not gonna do anything, and he was right. He was spot on, and he said why they wasn't gonna do anything, and he's spot on because you see, Brandon Cooks, Zach Martin, and Tank, they all have void years on their contracts. So what this means is that with the void years on the contract, so what this means is that they will no longer be under contract, but the Cowboys will still owe them money from pushing their contract down the line to create cap space for years. So they're not going to be under contract unless it's negotiated next year. But they have these void years where the Cowboys still owe them money. And for Zach Martin, it's like 7 million. For Tank, it's like 5 or something like that. And then for Brandon Cooks, it's whatever it is, it equals like $19 million, like $20 million. So what that means is like so that we have cap space right now. We have 25 million in cap, but that's really not there because next year that's going to satisfy Zach Martin, Tank, and Brandon Cooks. So we really don't. We really only have like 5 million now. They can still restructure CD and Dak's contract on top of getting the money that they're going to get at the beginning of the season next year, and they'll probably have the most cap space in the NFL because you can literally figure it out to where you can have hundreds. You can. I did it to where I had 100 million in cap space just with the cap league next year, and with restructuring Dak and CD, I had like 100 mil. So, and you can do that easily.
and what they're gonna have to do, they're gonna need it because what they're gonna have to do, they're in a hole as far as the way the team is being put together. So the way for them to pretty much right the ship is, have a good draft and then just go out and just backfill the roster with free agents. They need to get a free agent defensive tackle. They're probably gonna have to get a free agent running back to go with the rookie they draft. Uh, just all over the roster, they're gonna be able to. And you saw this year, you don't need just a whole lot of money to get guys. We saw, like Derrick Henry's making $8 million, so they're gonna be able to, if they get out there and just participate in free agency, they'll be able to, kind of restock and reload. It won't take a whole lot. They just got to just sign some good players, and they have to have a knockout draft. They got to come out of this draft with jump off the screen players. They can't draft somebody and say it's going to take them 3 years. They can't draft somebody and it's like, the season starts and we're wondering, how this player was taken, like Guyton and Mozzie. They just can't do it. You said that you was looking at the receivers. You like another receiver besides Tet. So what's happening with this guy? Who you play for?
His name is Luther the Third. He's I like him. He jumped off the screen. Is that the black and yellow team?
Yeah, that's Missouri. So who does he remind you of in the NFL? But can you find his highlights?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking highlights.
Yeah, we can.
I know. Shout out to Henny. He was saying he got whatever you call it,
demonetized,
because he was showing some kind of video. Now he said he don't really think it's legit, but YouTube is kind of weird how they do things. You got to be real careful when you're playing clips, I guess. But
Yeah, and then on top of that, like I said, with the YouTube, I mean, they'll tell you when you do something wrong. It's not like you can just do something wrong and then
mm-hmm,
all of a sudden you're strike. No, it's like they give you multiple opportunities and multiple warnings. So that's kind of how you have to go and learn as you go. Like we've done some things that they told us, you know, we got our video blocked for it. So I went in and re-edited and took those parts out, and I know not to
mm-hmm,
use that again. Like with the Amazon thing, apparently you can't review the Amazon games because of the Amazon logo.
mm-hmm. So this
So
receiver from Missouri, who you think he looks like in the NFL? Is he a run after catch guy,
he does.
fast?
He's a run after catch guy. He's fast. He's just like a Debo. He's hard to bring down. He moves real well. It's just like you can tell he's just a baller. He don't. You can just tell he's just a baller. He jump off the screen. It's
And
just like
where they got him ranked on Tankathon?
they got him ranked at number 13. He's ranked 13th
So
overall.
so he's a realistic
Yeah,
he's a realistic somebody. If we end up drafting 10th, he'll be there.
right, and that's why he's 5'11", 208. So he's not 6'3" or 6'4", but he's just a baller, and you can just tell like with his highlights, it's not like Mingo's highlights. He has some real good highlights. Like he just he sees the field well, he catches well. Oh, look at this play. Like
Mm-hmm.
like watch this play again. See, it's just like he's fast. Watch this play. You wouldn't think that he gonna score on this play, but he walks right in. It's like he just
Mm-hmm.
good like that, and you can tell he got a lot of energy. He taking screens to the house. You see, just like that.
And
So
see, and this is what the Cowboys have gotten away from over the years. They just, for whatever reason, there are players like this. There have been players like this on the board, and they just come out and they do goofy stuff. Devin Achan is a running back. His highlights just jumped off the screen, and he's one of the better running backs in the NFL. And all they had to do was just take him. But so whatever kind of changes the Cowboys make, somebody has to go in the front office and tell them, whether it's the coach that they hire, that offensively we have to just take playmakers, that
yeah,
guys that just make plays. And if you draft somebody on defense, they got to be a playmaker. You cannot draft somebody on defense and you're looking at him and you're saying, well,
you see
in
that
2 years, yeah, in 2 years, he gonna look like this. In 3 years, no, he should get off the bus making plays, and that can be really any position on the field.
especially when you're taking them in the first and second round.
Yeah, when you saw Tyler Smith highlights at Tulsa, you just saw him pancaking people. You saw his footwork and you saw his hands. It was just
Mhm,
obvious. Now you
mhm,
didn't know, uh, how he was going to play, but you knew that he was a good player. Uh,
and like Cooper Beebe, he just jump off the screen.
yeah, and he's played good for a rookie. He's had some struggles, but you can see Cooper Beebe is going to be a good player. It's just there.
Cooper Beebe is sixth. He's 17. He's the 17th rated center in the entire NFL. So
Yeah,
for him to be a rookie and be 17th in the entire NFL, and then he's number six in pass blocking in the entire NFL. So if he's number six pass blocking is in the entire NFL, and he's a rookie, you could tell with the right kind, and that's with a bad coach too. That's with an
and
80-year-old.
and just think about this. Right now, if they had just taken the best player on their offensive line right now, they would have Cooper Beebe, Tyler Smith, and Matthew Bergeron. Bergeron will be your right guard. All they had to do was just take him. His film, he had to jump off the screen highlights. All you had to do was just draft him.
Yeah,
That's it.
they constantly. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier about some of the changes that they need to make. player evaluation for the Cowboys has been horrible. They don't evaluate players correctly. I mean, and player evaluation is a broad thing because when you're doing player evaluation, that involves the draft, that involves trades, that involves free agency because you want to, like, for instance, them paying Michael Gallup and shipping away Amari Cooper. That's poor talent evaluation. That's poor player evaluation because Amari Cooper is a better player than Michael Gallup. So you should not. And then even when you trade him, what you trade him for is also a player evaluation. He did not equal what they traded him for. So like
Wilson was better than Michael Gallup.
there you go. It's just and they let Cedric Wilson go. It's just like Mingo. The player evaluation, who evaluated this guy and said that he's worth a fourth round pick. So whoever is doing that, that has to be stopped because what'll happen is I keep seeing people talking about trading Micah to get picks. Well, you can't do that because the person that's going to be making these, first of all, the Cowboys get hulled out when they get picks. And then second of all, on top of that, there is no guarantee that the picks that you're going to get back are going to be slam dunk picks because they pick people like Mozzie with their first round pick. So if you're telling me that you're going to trade Micah and you're going to draft Mozzie in the first round, you're going to get two first round, and Luke Schoonmaker and
Nashawn Wright.
Then you just that's what they do. So they need to. We know that they need to hire someone outside of the organization to come in and do that job for them, like Nico for the Mavericks. But they're not gonna do that. So the head coach needs to be that person that comes in. To me, what the Cowboys do and what the Joneses and Will McClay do, they hire their coordinators before they hire their head coach. They did Kellen Moore before they did McCarthy, and they told McCarthy Kellen Moore is calling the plays. That's backwards when you're running a football organization.
Now McCarthy would swear that it was his idea.
And see, but it probably but also McCarthy did also said that his favorite part about being a head coach is calling plays.
Brian Broaddus, and shout out to Broaddus, he was saying early on that when McCarthy took the job, he really didn't want to spend the time to put his offense in. So I can kind of believe that, but it's kind of like you're making a deal with the devil. They really came back to bite him, and then it bit him double time because he really threw Kellen under the bus quite a bit those first 2 years with the way he called the plays.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back. Now last year, he stepped up. Like I said, they started off kind of rough, and he came back and they put together like 7 or 8 terrific games offensively. But this year, he took a step back, and it's nobody can explain what happened. But obviously the players getting hurt played a part in it. Brandon Cooks,
not having a running back,
not having a number 2 tight end. People don't understand too, not having a number 2 tight end. I've been telling you and some other people that we need to have a 1A and 1B receiver. We really need a 1A and 1B tight end. And that second tight end spot is killing them because they are not getting anything from that second tight end.
When I tell people, when you look at the offense this year, and you can look at it last year, and you can look at it this year, and you can look at any other team as well. And I tell them, point to me what part of our offense is solid and is good. You can't. There's problems with the offensive line. Terrence Steele and Zach Martin are not playing good. Tyler Guyton is not playing good. What about the wide receivers? We only have one good wide receiver, and his name is CD. Jalen Tolbert is a 4 on the average team. Brandon Cooks is a 3 on the average team. What about your running backs? The running backs are the last in the league. They are the last. They're the last. We don't have a running back that has got over 100 yards this year, and we're in game 9 or 10.
And then when you look at last year on the offensive line, Tyron Smith had a Pro Bowl season. Zach
Mm-hmm.
Martin, Tyler Smith played well. Our center
All
was
pro.
not very good. Then last year, CD, I thought Brandon Cooks had an underrated year. He had 8 touchdowns. He could have had 10 or 12.
Mhm. CD
And
made
then
all pro.
yeah, so this offseason, McCarthy, he just I don't know if he just didn't do
Now,
anything to make the offense go forward, but
now here's
then
my
you combine
theory.
that with the injuries, yeah.
Here's my theory. So last year they were running Mike McCarthy. McCarthy kept saying this Texas coast thing, and he kept
Hmm.
saying that what he was doing was he was very clear that he wasn't changing the offense completely. What he was doing was just adding the language, and they were adding some things. So it really was the same offense that Kellen was running. So what happened was to me is that it was rumors being said that they let Dak take over the offense, and McCarthy said, "Okay, well, if you want to do it was the week after that they had a big game. It was the week after the bye. They had a big game, and then they asked him in a press conference what was the difference? Why were they, unable to stop CD this time? And he said, well, you know, Dak came to me and Dak wanted to try some things, and so I just said, okay, well, if you guys want to do it, I'm gonna go ahead and let you do it, and that to me that's the only thing that I can point to that I can just say, well, okay, that's what happened. And in this offseason, I think that he really tried to install his offense. And then when he tried to install his offense and he started calling plays, then there you go. But back to the Kellen thing, it's just like McCarthy is a smart person. He's smart. What he did was he knew that he had the hangman theory, and he knew that, hey, if we do good, it's gonna look good on me, and if we do bad, it's gonna look bad on Kellen because he's calling the plays. And he did
Mm-hmm.
that for 2 years until Kellen was out. And then last year, he did good. He did good, and they lost. And Dan Quinn didn't do good. Dan Quinn never stopped the run, and Dan Quinn couldn't had a horrible call game against the Green Bay. So again, Mike McCarthy says it's Dan Quinn's fault this time. It's not my fault. We had a good offense, and it's Dan Quinn's fault. And so now it's all on him because they got a new coordinator and they got all these injuries. And it's just like McCarthy is being exposed because he has no one else to blame this time because
Yeah.
it's obvious.
So Mike Zimmer is actually making adjustments. You can see it. You can see it in in spots. Like, they played a good first half uh, against the Eagles, and you can see the defense doing different things, making adjustments, kind of mixing it up. You just don't see that with McCarthy, and so we're gonna have to just kind of wait and see how things develop. So we're gonna do something. We'll come on tomorrow after some of these games have been played. Just kind of tell you what we're looking at. We got the return of Dan Quinn this past Thursday when against the Eagles. A lot of people been giving Dan Quinn a lot of credit for how Washington has been playing, but of course, at the end of the day, what hurt us here with him, you saw it in that game Thursday night. They could not stop the run. I mean, the Eagles just went up and down the field on them in the third and fourth quarter. So that's
And
what he
before
did here.
That's what he did here. And I want to say these couple things before we wrap. So one of the things that you're gonna see that's gonna let me know right now. I mean, let us know at the end of the year how the Cowboys are going forward is number one, who they hire as the head coach, and if they hire the coordinators first,
Mm-hmm.
or if they let the the coach hire the coordinators. If the coordinators is somebody that we've never heard of, that's good. But if it's somebody that we know, then that means that they were hired by the Joneses and they told the head coach that they're calling plays. So we want to see the opposite. We want to see Ben Johnson or someone like that come in that we know that they're calling plays and that they're running the offense. Or we want to see somebody like Belichick come in that we know that he's a general manager in his head. Because the reason why Bill Belichick didn't get the job in Atlanta that was already his is because he wanted to be the general manager as well. And so,
Yeah.
so we know that just like Ben Johnson is requiring to have $15 million when he comes in, Bill Belichick is stating that he wants control over the general manager when he comes in. He wants control over player personnel. So that'll be good for us. Now we got to watch out for the Giants because that's who we're in competition with when it comes to Bill Belichick, Ben Johnson, Shador, and all of that. The Giants are going to be trying everybody that we interview. The Giants are going to interview, and so that's going to go. They're going to be going back and forth with that.
Well, what we need to see too, and we touched it on one of our earlier shows, is whenever they interview, they need to interview 10 coaches. They need to interview 10 offensive and 10 defensive coordinators. It needs to be like a long list of people that they've interviewed for all of the jobs. What you don't want to see is them have a hiring. They talk to two people and they make the hire for
Well,
the
see,
head coach.
I this
For
is
the
what I'm
defensive
for.
coordinator, they interviewed two people.
Well, this is what I'm forecasting. I'm forecasting that someone like Ben Johnson is gonna. Well, first of all, I don't even know if they're gonna interview Ben Johnson, but they might interview Ben Johnson right on Tuesday, offer him $15 million. Right, Ben Johnson gonna go interview with the Giants on Wednesday, and they gonna offer him $20 million. He'll sign with
Mm,
the Giants.
that's
So
possible.
that's and the same thing with Belichick. Belichick will come in here and he'll interview on Wednesday. They'll offer him what they offer him. No general manager title coming with that. He'll go to Washington. I mean, he'll go to New York the next day. The Giants will say, "Okay, we'll give you that plus the general manager responsibility." He'll sign with New York.
And
So
see,
that's what we got to worry about.
I still think that Bill Belichick would use the model that Parcells used for this job. Parcells didn't require that. However, he was doing a lot of it. He did work with them. So I envision Bill Belichick doing the same thing. I think he'll come in and just say, we're going to work on it together. There are going to be some times when I want a certain player, you want it. So Parcells has already shown him that he can do that with Steven and Jerry. So that's kind of, I don't think he's going to come in and say, I want to be the general manager or else. So we'll see. I
Right.
don't think he's going to do that. Uh,
Yeah.
but
I
so
mean,
we'll have to
kind of
kind of see how it works
what
out.
what you just said is what I'm saying that he would be doing. He'll be working with
Yeah.
Will McClay and Jerry on who they bring in and free agency and
Mhm.
things like that. And that has to change.
And
And
then what Parcells did do, absolutely, he did absolutely tell them even when he wasn't picking the players, they knew what kind of players he was looking for. He was just tell them, he would look at the player and just say, "Hey, I can work with this player or this guy." He had a keen sense of knowing just guys that didn't love football, guys that had lazy tendencies. So that's what he
check
was
it out.
really good at.
If Belichick was here, he would have looked them right in their face and told them, "No, no, 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 no. We taking T.J. Watt. We're not taking Taco." If if
Oh
if
yeah,
if Belichick was here, he would have looked them right in their face and said, "No, no, 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 no. We're taking Bergeron. We're not taking Mozzie." Okay.
yeah.
That's what you're looking at. And then also the latest thing I want to point out before we close is the adjustments. To me, everybody has this question mark on why they're the Cowboys are playing good. The defense is playing good in the first half of all these games. Like, the first half of the game against Philly, they was playing good. It was just our offense couldn't score, but our defense held them, kept them out of the end zone, and held them to field goals. They kept getting 3-and-outs against Philly. And in the games prior to that, it's been the same thing. Our defense plays good first couple quarters, and then after halftime in the third quarter, they get blew out. Well, that's because the other team is making adjustments and the
Mm.
Cowboys are not. So when the other team makes adjustments, the Cowboys come in and the Cowboys are doing good. So they don't think that they need to make adjustments because they're doing good. So what do they need to adjust? So when they do that, and then the other team makes an adjustment after the third quarter, they don't have a response and they're getting blew out. They're getting blew out in the third quarter, and the offense can't move. The offense literally,
Mm.
47 yards total.
Yeah.
What the quarterback did last week, 47 yards total. So
our offense hasn't helped our defense all year.
no, and
They
our
just
offense
haven't.
has been a problem all year.
Yeah.
If our offense was playing like how our offense played last year, and our defense was playing how they're playing this year, we'd be 7-2. Okay.
Well, we definitely have more wins.
Well,
Probably.
I say 7-2 because these games that we're losing, you can see where we're losing at. Like for
Yeah.
instance, last week when we played Philly, you could see that if our offense put up points, we would have won that game because that was the reason why we lost. Is because, like for instance, the game would have been over in the first half because we would have been up by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Simple and
Mhm.
plain. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's it, guys. So we're gonna wrap up on this one, and we still want to come back. There's a lot to talk about, so we'll get on tomorrow. We got the game Monday, so we can get on, and we're gonna see some other teams play tomorrow. So we're gonna have some stuff to talk about as far as what the other teams look like, and especially the teams in the division. Do they have division? Do we have division games this week? Are they playing, or are they out because they did a Monday night or Thursday night or something?
I'm not sure. We have to look at the schedule.
So we'll have plenty to talk about. And so you all make sure you all like our Facebook is Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. You can talk it in. I mean, you can type it in like that, or you can type in Gen to Gen CAST on YouTube and on Facebook. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Go Cowboys. Peace.
Peace.